All right, this video is going to take us through our study guide for Chapter 2. I know it says Test A at the top, but it's actually going to be our study guide. Your test will look similar to this, but with some changes to it. All right, so on this test, we're going to be looking at whether two things are congruent, whether two things are similar, translations, reflections, rotations, and dilations, all kinds of transformations. So let's look at number 1. The directions for 1, 2, and 3 say triangles ABC and QRS are congruent. So if you remember what congruent means, that just means that they're the exact same shape and they're the exact same size. So here are the two triangles. One's just turned over on its side. So question number 1 asks, which angle of ABC corresponds to angle S? Okay, so we want to figure out which angle matches up exactly with angle S. If we were to take these two triangles, lay them one right on top of each other, which angle from this triangle would be right where the S is? You're going to have to turn it a little bit. Okay, our answer for this one is going to be angle S corresponds with angle C. Okay, so over here in your answer box for number 1, we're going to type in angle C. Okay. All right, number 2 says which angle of QRS corresponds to angle B? Okay, so here's angle B, and you should notice right away that that's the one with the right angle with it. So the one that corresponds is going to be angle R. All right, and then number 3 says which side of ABC corresponds to side RQ. So RQ is this side right here. Okay, you may notice it as the shortest side. It's got the right angle with it. Okay, and the one that matches up is side BA. So 1, 2, and 3 should be fairly easy. It's just picking out what corresponds with what matches up with what. Okay, the next section just simply says, tell whether the shaded figure is a translation, reflection, rotation, or dilation of the non-shaded figure. So you basically just need to figure out what movement is going on here. Okay, so this is number 4. You may need to write number 4 in there. It may have cut it off. Okay, number 4, this W has been taken and it has just been turned, so we call that a rotation. Okay, number 5, the stars, they are facing the same direction. They have just been slid down. We call that a translation. Okay, number 6, again, you may need to add in a number 6 right there. Number 6, we have an octagon, or I guess 2 octagons, and if you notice, they are different sizes. The only one of our transformations that changes the size is a dilation. It's the only one that changes the size of a shape. And then number 7, we have the lightning bolts, and if you look, it's basically a mirror image. It has been flipped. It is not facing the same direction, so we call that a reflection. It's still the same size, just facing a different direction. It's been flipped. Okay, so those are all very simple, just basically picking out the movement that is occurring. All right, now, number 8. Says the vertices of a rectangle are A is at 3, 0, B is at 6, 0, C is at 4, -1, and D is at 1, -1. It says reflect the rectangle in the y-axis and then rotate the rectangle 180 degrees about the origin. And then what are the coordinates of the image? What I'm going to want you to do on this, where it has you do 2 different movements or even more, later you might have that, we have to reflect and we have to rotate. Okay? I want you to actually show me both of those whenever you go to work this out on your test. I want to see the reflection and I want to see the rotation. Okay, that way if something goes wrong, then I can tell exactly where you went wrong. So we're going to have to draw a coordinate plane for this one. All right, so you may do this probably on a separate sheet of paper. You're going to have to make it as neat as possible. As neat as possible. Okay. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to come over to a Google Doc here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and sketch my coordinate plane. Okay, if you're doing this on notebook paper, then these lines should be perfectly straight. The vertical one may be a little off, but at least your horizontal line, you can just follow one of those blue lines. I know on my coordinates, the largest number I had was 6, so I'm just going to go 6 hash marks on all sides. And try to make them as evenly spaced as possible. Okay, now I'm just going to go through and I'm going to plot my points. So the first point I had was 3, 0, and that was where A was. So I'm going to come over 3, up 0. That's A. B was at 6, 0, so I'm going to come over 6 and up 0. Okay. C was at 4, -1. So over 4, down 1. And D was at 1, -1. Okay, now, it calls this a rectangle. This isn't a rectangle. It is a parallelogram, but, so just ignore the fact that it's a rectangle. I think on your test it'll be a rectangle, but okay, so we need to reflect the rectangle in the y-axis. So I need to reflect this over the y-axis. So if you notice, your y-axis is the one that's going up and down, the vertical. So I'm going to take all of these points, all 4 of them, and I'm just going to reflect it over on the other side of the y-axis. And I'm going to put mine in green. Okay, so I'm going to take 1 point at a time. Okay, and I'm going to go across this vertical line. So I'm going to take A. I notice that A is 3 spaces away from the y-axis, 3 spaces to the right. So A prime, I'm going to go 3 to the left. A prime. B was 6 to the right, so I'm going to come 6 to the left. Okay. D was 1 to the right, so I'm going to go 1 to the left. And C was 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, so I'm going to come 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left, and then connect those. Okay, so there's my reflection. Now, that's not all that they asked me to do. Okay, if I come back over to the paper, the other thing I had to do was rotate 180 degrees around the origin. Okay, so I want you to grab your transparency and your marker that you have. Okay, you're going to lay it right over this. You need to trace the x-axis, the y-axis, and then you're going to trace the green shape, the one that you just drew, okay? Because that's the one that you're going to rotate. So go ahead and trace those, okay? And then we are going 180 degrees, so that is 2 turns. Meanwhile, you are keeping your origin right where it is. That is not going to move. Okay, so we're going to go 1 turn, 2 turns. Okay, go ahead and do that. You might want to pause the video real quick. Go ahead and do that, and then you will be able to check what I have and see if you have it correct. Okay, so what I have in blue is the shape that you should end up with after you rotate it. And if you notice, I labeled them A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, and D double prime. Okay, so you can check yourself, make sure you have it in the right spot. Now we're not quite done because that question then asked us what are the new coordinates of the shape. So you have room over on your worksheet to fill these in. Okay, so A prime is in the exact same place that it was to begin with, over 3 up 0. B prime also over 6 up 0. C prime is over 1, 2, 3, 4 and up 1, so that's positive 4, positive 1. And D double prime is right 1, up 1, so positive 1, positive 1. So there is your final answer right there. Okay? All right, now moving on. Okay, we're going to look at number 9. Okay, it says the vertices of a triangle are x is at negative 2, 2, y at 0, 2, and z at negative 2, 0. Dilate the triangle with respect to the origin using a scale factor of 2. So right now I want you to think about what's going to happen. Is that triangle going to get bigger or is it going to get smaller? Then we need to translate the image 5 units right and 1 unit down. And what are the coordinates of the image? So again, you're going to end up having 3 triangles on your paper. So again, let's go ahead and draw a coordinate plane here. Try to make it as neat as possible. Okay, my largest number I had was a 2 on this one, but keep in mind you're going to have to make it bigger. It's going to be twice as big, and we're going to move it around. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and do 5 on all sides. Actually, I'll do 6 on all sides. If I need to change that, add more, then I can. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is plot where the original original triangle should be. So x is at negative 2, 2. So left 2, up 2. Y is at 0, 2, so over 0, up 2. And z is at negative 2, 0, so left 2 and up 0. Okay. Then I need to dilate with a scale factor of 2. So I'm going to multiply everything by 2. So I'll have negative 4, 4. I'll have 0, 4. And I'll have negative 4, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and plot those in green, actually. So negative 4, 4. I'm going to go left 4 and up 4. That's going to be x prime. Then 0, 4 over 0, up 4. That's y prime. And z prime is negative 4, 0. Okay. Then I'm going to take that prime image and I'm going to translate all 3 points. I'm going to go 5 to the right and 1 down. So I'm going to take y and I'm going to go 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 down. That's going to be y double prime. X, go 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 down. That's x double prime. And then z, 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 down. There's z double prime. Okay. And then lastly, it wants us to name the coordinates of that shape. So we have x double prime at 1, 3, over 1 up 3. I have y double prime at 5, 3, and z double prime at 1, negative 1.